We're here to protect you and the ones that you love. It's a good feeling to know that our efforts aren't going unnoticed.
It actually brought tears to my eyes to know that we have this support.
You're welcome. I must just say, you're welcome. It's stressful, but we're not going anywhere.
Welcome to another edition of Bucknell Women's Water Polo Through the Decades. Tonight we have the decade started it all for the women's water polo program, the late 1990s into the early 2000s. We have a great group joining head coach John McBride and one of our current student athletes, Larissa Hodzic. Larissa is a junior from New Rochelle, New York, and we're thankful to have her on the call tonight. I want to thank Geisinger as our sponsor for tonight's event. Geisinger has done a great job throughout the pandemic for the local community here, and they do a great job every day with our student athletes here at Bucknell, so thank you to Geisinger. I'd like to introduce our guest. My name is Todd Newcomb, and our guest, first from the class of 1999, is Deann Cull. She was a winner team captain in 1999. She was a second-team all-conference selection in that year, and she won the team's class of 1999 award following that season. She also won the Bradley Ann Tufts Award at the department's senior awards dinner. Our second guest, very familiar last name, is Paige Cull, class of 2001, three-year letter winner and team captain in 2001. She ranks fourth with 189 career steals at Bucknell. She ranks 20th on the career chart with 132 goals. She was a second-team all-conference selection in both 2000 and 2001. And our final guest from the class of 2002, Deann Long. She was a two-year letter winner and won the team's Lynn Kaczmarek Award in the 1999 season. So, Coach, it's a great group, some of the pioneers of the program. I'm going to turn it over to you.
Thanks, ladies, for being here. Before we begin sharing the great memories of your time here at Bucknell, can you update us on your personal life? Where do you live, career, family, etc.? Paige, we'll start with you.
Sure. So after graduating from Bucknell, I stayed in water polo for a little while, and I moved around a little bit. I helped a club program go varsity up upstate New York. Then I came back to Bucknell, and then I went to Villanova, and I stayed in Philadelphia for the last 16 years, and just recently moved to Florida.
Nice. Deann?
Yeah.
So after finishing at Bucknell, I taught high school for 6 years, for a couple of years outside of Harrisburg, and then I moved to Pittsburgh because I married a fellow Bucknellian, because I can't apparently escape statistics. And so he's from Pittsburgh, so I now live in Pittsburgh. We have 3 kids. I have an 8-year-old and 5-year-old twins, so life is busy. And I am currently the managing editor of an online magazine called Horse Nation.
Awesome. Dana?
Yeah, when I graduated, I moved to New Jersey and started my career in engineering, but quickly left that around the same time I got married to my Bucknell sweetheart. And we have 3 children. Drew is 16, Alex is 13, and Lauren is 11. And I am a high school science teacher.
Awesome. You were all pioneers of the very first women's water polo team at Bucknell. Describe the transition from club to varsity, and how do you think all the women's program has evolved since then? Dana, we'll go with you.
Okay, well, so I went to Bucknell without ever having seen a water polo game or picked up a water polo ball. And I just joined the club because I thought it would be fun. I think things have changed a bit since then as far as who's coming to play water polo now. I feel very fortunate to have been there when I was, and the fact that it became a varsity sport when we were there was kind of thrilling. But at the same time, it didn't really feel like that huge of a change for us, because it's not, we didn't suddenly become amazing, and we still played against the same competition. So it didn't seem like a huge change when we went from club to varsity. But I know over the years, obviously, things have changed tremendously. And I think even probably people who entered in 2003 to play water polo had a much different experience than I did, you know, coming to Bucknell in the 90s.
Yeah.
So.
Deann.
So my first year was actually the first year that the program was varsity. So I didn't really get to experience the transition. I walked in when it was varsity, but I have to say, just watching the program grow from then till now has been absolutely amazing. I mean, and kudos to like the coaching staff for the coaching you're doing and the recruiting you're doing. I mean, I think it's awesome now to be able to say that I was a part of that team, and it's definitely it has evolved a lot since we were playing.
Awesome. Paige.
Yeah, I think I echo what Dana said. It wasn't a huge difference for us. I remember we had Coach Lynn Kaczmarek, and she was trying to make sure that everybody was invested in the program. And there was, even my first year, there were, you know, we knew we were going to go varsity. So it was, you know, like buckle down now. This is the time we're going to do it now. And so there wasn't a huge transition between, you know, when I started and when we actually were varsity, because we knew what was happening.
I've never been the first to do anything. So I got to imagine that when there's got to be a sense of pride to look back and say, yeah. Wow, I mean, 25 years later, it's stronger than it's ever been. And, you know, thanks to you guys, I have a job, you know, so you guys get that? Do you ever reflect on that and say, wow, I can't believe I was the first to start something that's just grown into something super big? Or
Yes, absolutely. There's definitely a huge sense of pride that comes along with having been a varsity athlete, and knowing how awesome the team is now. But at the same time, I don't think we particularly played a huge part in how big and how amazing the team is now. It's all about you guys, the coaching staff, and the support from the Bucknell community and the players themselves that you've recruited.
Well, that's a very humble response. I don't think you give yourself enough credit. People like Larissa get to benefit off of what you guys did. And even though when you're going through it 25 years ago or whatever, maybe you don't see the impact, but the impact is definitely there. I mean, for sure. So if you didn't think about it, you should think about how prideful you should feel. I would imagine. I'm not telling you how to feel, but they've come along. It's come a long way, and there's been a lot of coaches that have come after because of what you guys have done. So it's pretty awesome, pretty amazing. So
can I say something in that vein quickly? I will say that there was a time for a couple years after I graduated where I was living close enough that I could come up for the weekend, and I would help during tournaments and do scoreboard or book or whatever. Paige and I had a couple of fun weekends, I think, during that stretch. But I remember in those times when it really hit home kind of where the program was headed. And I think it's hard now looking back, like, you know, like what Dana said, and to really feel that it has so much to do with us. But I do remember in those weekends going, wow, just the changes in recruiting and like level of play and level of player. And I think that's when it hit home that it was like, hey, we were at least here for the start of this. And and I think especially players like Dana and Paige, the level of play that you brought, even as a like beginning varsity program, made it so that bigger recruits could come in those subsequent years as an early like varsity program, and really I think helped it build.
Yeah, I mean, it's a very important part of our history, and I don't, you know, it can't be understated or it can't be said enough how important you guys are to what we do. And you know, I think that the younger women like Larissa and other women on the team need to know who you guys are, and so I think it's, you know, it's important. And hopefully, you know, Larissa will be graduated by the time we have that 25th. You know, she'll be able to meet you guys on a more personal level and be able to really feel the impact. It's gone a long way. I mean, we don't ride in vans anymore. We're not making peanut butter and jelly sandwiches in the back of the van. You know, we're not staying in dorm room or dorms in the, you know, long.
Or like we were always, you know, staying with families to save money so that we had, you know, enough money for lunch and dinner, and we would think about that, like the fact that the only reason that we have the ability to go out to California, or even in the early days when we would just do Florida, was we had the generosity of former players or parents.
Yeah. Well, now we're one of the top programs in the country as far as donor response and alumni response. So people like Larissa, players like Larissa, get to benefit off of that tremendously. So we've come a long way. So thank you. This is what I'm trying to say. I'm going to turn over to Larissa. Larissa is a center for us. She played Greenwich water polo. She's one of my Greenwich 3 that I have on the team. She's a junior. She didn't get to play last year because she blew her knee out, but she's missing practice tonight to talk to you guys. So we'll make sure that she makes up for it at some point. For them.
Hi guys. So what kind of advice would you guys give me or any of my teammates in the program right now about like the college water polo experience?
Dana, go ahead.
It sounds so cliche, but my comment is just to live it, soak it all up, enjoy every minute while you're there. Work hard in your classes so that you can enjoy your time with your water polo family, whether that's, at home in the pool just practicing, or on the road when you're competing or training. Just enjoy all your time and don't take for granted this opportunity that you have, because honestly, it's some of the best memories I have, or like fondest memories are from college and in particular Bucknell water polo.
Awesome. Deann?
Yeah.
I was gonna say, just kind of make sure that you do what you can to keep everything balanced. Like, one of the amazing things about Bucknell, for as much as it's in the middle of a cornfield, is that there really are so many opportunities there, and I don't know that I appreciated it quite as much at the time. I think the university does a great job of making as much available as possible, kind of despite the location. So enjoy that. Keep, this is speaking of cliche, like keep your work and your, varsity commitments and the fun parts of college, just keep them balanced. I think that's kind of what keeps you sane in the middle of all of it.
Paige.
I think sort of along the same lines, I think that you just really need to realize that the experience that you're having playing is what you're going to remember, and not necessarily the actual games or the goals that you score, but it's going to be like the whole event. And that time with your water polo family is really like what make you remember Bucknell fondly, hopefully.
Well, staying with that, Paige, what was your most memorable experience as being a Bucknell water polo player?
I don't know if I can really say it was just one thing. I really enjoyed the time with the team, meals in the caf and the terrace room. We were are on Tuesdays, Thursdays, and we would just like the spring break trips and being together are the most fun things that I remember about my whole time at Bucknell. Are just like the actual bonding time that we spent together, and not so much any particular game or anything.
Awesome. Deann.
I mean, I had a hard time thinking about something specific because it is just all of the time. But I will say, when you talked about how you don't travel in vans anymore, I was like, wait, like, how do you get from place to place then, number one? And number two, probably some of my funniest memories come from those 15 passenger vans. Like, I swear there was a stop in the middle of rural, I don't know where, in the middle of the night, where like 10 girls needed a bathroom, and I think we invaded somebody's private home thinking it was a restaurant. And I just remember like laughing so hard that I don't think I had to use the restroom, but after laughing hard enough, I'm sure I did. And
Yep. That
and
1000% happened. It was not a
there was
dream. That happened.
behind dumpster peeing happening too. I don't know, but I think that was probably one of the funnier moments I could come up with. And I'm like, well, what are you traveling in now? You probably have bathrooms on board.
We do, actually. We got stuck on a 14-hour bus ride to Michigan, and we had, because we were in traffic, there was a bad snowstorm and there was an accident, and we had people that were in the traffic jam with us coming on our bus to use our bathroom. We were there for
Gross.
Yeah, but we had to help people out. I mean, poor women. They were running, knocking on the door of the bus. Can we use your bathroom? It's nice. Dana.
I do have some memories from specific games that stand out. Like one of my final tournaments was at Penn State, and I was ejected multiple times from that tournament from games. And I was not usually a brutal player, but I had a bad tournament.
I remember that tournament.
Oh, it was horrible.
Dana, you are on fire.
But in general, I don't have any specific memories that are clean enough to say on video right now, but I just in general think of my Bucknell water polo family as, well, what shaped my college experience. And I always felt like I didn't need to be in a sorority because I had my water polo teammates. And I'm just thankful for all of the times that we had together, in and out of the pool.
Well, Dana, where else in life can you be violent and then the only thing that happens is you get kicked out of a game?
That's right.
So,
That game and the next game.
yeah, well, go
And
down
then
in a
when you
blaze
come
of
back-
glory.
And the next one.
And then when you come back, the next game after that too.
I just
Exactly.
had this image, like this just came back to me of you in the pool, and I think one of your ejections, by that time the refs were just looking at you.
Yeah.
And like I just remember you getting one and being like I just remember like this look of shock on your face. Like I didn't even do anything this time.
You are a marked
Very
woman.
true. I absolutely was, and Deann remembers it. That's impressive.
That's good. That's good. You would have started for me then.
She did.
That's good. Who was the teammate you admired most through your career here, and why, Paige?
I'll be in trouble if I say this, but my sister, Dana. So
Oh,
she had, besides that tournament, she was the most like well-rounded player, with school and playing, and, just she could do a lot of different things, and she was, good in the pool and also good in school. And
Thanks, Paige. And I let you borrow my car.
yes, so I was a freshman with a car on campus. That was cool.
Deann.
So I just want to say that I'm not cheating, that I took notes ahead of time, and it's right here in writing that I also put Dana Cull.
Oh my gosh.
But I didn't just say it because Paige did,
Guys.
so I wrote it ahead of time, and yes, I took notes because I'm a dork.
No, because you graduated from Bucknell. That's what they did.
But so she was our captain when I came in as a freshman. And I think just like Paige said, totally like an all around, like well-balanced athlete, but Dana was just always like a really good leader. And she wasn't loud. She wasn't obnoxious. She wasn't overt about it. She just always kind of like quietly did her job and did it well. And other than one random tournament where apparently a bunch of ejections happened, like she was a clean player, a consistent player. And I don't know that you would ever find anybody in the pool working harder than she was, even though like her place was pretty well guaranteed, like she still earned it every practice and every minute of the day.
Thank you. It's very nice.
How about you, Dana?
Well, you guys only said me because you didn't get to play with the players that I got to play with, who were ahead of me. So when I was a freshman, I have two answers to this question. Allison Gillespie was a senior when I was a freshman, and I admired her because she was the leader that I wanted to be. In addition to being, an awesome whole defender, she was just that, again, the strong leader. She basically taught us to play the game. She taught us how to egg beat her, how to cradle the ball, how to pass, how to shoot, how to defend without getting fouls called. She did it all very humbly and always with a positive attitude. And she taught us to win and lose with a positive attitude too, with pride. So Allison Gillespie for sure. She continued on as a water polo coach after she left Bucknell. And then the other one is, actually, I'm pretty sure she's from Greenwich as well, Kim Tierney.
Yep.
Does that name ring a bell?
Still there. Yeah, she's running Greenwich Water Polo.
Yes, so she was, I mean, I admired her because she played with the guys. She grew up playing with the guys, and she was just, she wasn't strong, she wasn't large in stature, but God, was she good in the pool. She was an amazing player, and she made us all look better.
Awesome.
So.
Awesome. Larissa, you have another question for them?
Yeah. What advice do you guys have about networking and finding the right job after school?
Deann, we'll go with you.
Well, I've had like 3 career changes, so I don't know that I'm the right person to ask. That said, the thing about Bucknellians is they super love other Bucknellians. So don't be afraid to reach out, even if it feels weird. I know that on the occasions that I've gotten like the random, hey, I went to Bucknell too emails, I'm really quick to respond. So absolutely use the Bucknell network. And my other piece of advice is less about networking and just in general, don't be afraid to take a position that's maybe a little bit out of the box compared to what you were thinking or tangential to the job you think you want, because it can be a really valuable stepping stone.
Awesome. Paige.
Oh, I think you should definitely exploit the network. Like Dana mentioned Allison Gillespie, and I actually moved in with Allison Gillespie when I started coaching at Villanova. She was the prior head coach at Villanova, and I took over the program from her. And I actually, like, she let me stay in her house, and I paid her rent. Like, it was like the network is real. And then I lived with another Bucknellian who also helped me get a job at another company. And I get messages, from Bucknell graduates, whether it's water polo or not, people will message me based off of LinkedIn, knowing that I work for the company I work for or whatever. And they'll message me and say, hey, I'm a Bucknell grad too. Can you help me? And I do. We do. It's normal. We put in a good word or pass along a resume where you might not have an in. So take advantage.
Dana.
I feel like I'm not in a very good position to answer this question because I haven't used like social networking or LinkedIn at this point because I've been in the career I've been in for a while and it's education, so it's not as necessary. But in general, and I think things have changed a lot since we graduated, but some things have stayed the same. The idea of not being able to not being afraid, to put yourself out there or to ask for or accept any help that's offered to you in your career search, I think is really going to get you far. And I forgot about Bucknell contacts helping me get a job, but I just remembered as we were talking that the superintendent who hired me was a Bucknell grad. The one who hired me for my current job. So I'm sure it helped me to get my current position. But in general, just keep all doors open, and don't think that the first job that you get is going to be the last job. There are tons of opportunities out there, and I'm sure you will bounce around some. And I don't think any of us is doing what we expected to be doing when we graduated Bucknell. So just follow your hopes and your passions, and do so responsibly, because otherwise you'll be broke pretty quickly. But, networking with Bucknell grads or anybody is going to be very helpful.
Was there any impact for you guys on putting varsity athlete on your resumes? And did that spark any conversations and interviews? Or
yes,
Water Polo Network itself, it being such a small sport, did you run into anybody in interviews that maybe have played water polo or maybe was a competitor against you? Or you can kind of answer that openly, but Was being a water polo varsity athlete help you in interviews?
Absolutely. I think I was offered jobs by most of the companies that I interviewed with when I was leaving Bucknell. And that was, the fact that I was a varsity athlete was huge. I think it showed showed them a leader.
And you were a chemical engineering major with a great GPA.
There's that.
And a female, like that, you were like breaking glass ceilings.
And now I'm a teacher, but I'm very happy. Don't get me wrong.
You're impacting a lot more people doing what you're doing now.
That's right. You're right.
So you were the first to do a lot of things then, not just water polo.
I guess, but I think water polo certainly helped, and people today are still impressed that to know that I was a varsity athlete, and my students are always amazed and baffled when I tell them that I played water polo of all sports, because they are in New Jersey and they have not seen water polo either.
Yeah. And how about Deann? Have you ever run into anybody outside of water polo that maybe you competed against that helped you, or the network within water polo itself, the sport?
I kind of took a hard left, so not as much, because my life took me a little bit different of a direction. But, I certainly, and I will say that when I was looking into getting into coaching after college, at the time in Pittsburgh, I think there were all of 2 places that had water polo. And I didn't immediately go that direction, because if you've ever been to Pittsburgh, there's a saying that you can't get there from here. And they both were there and I was here. But I mean, so I moved into volleyball and started coaching volleyball and coached volleyball for 10 years. So in a different sense, certainly varsity athletics or athletics in general has affected me and helped me, but I would not be being completely honest if I said it was water polo specific, other than keeping in touch with former teammates and making connections along those lines.
Yeah. And obviously, Paige, for you, it was right after college into water polo. So you still maintain those connections, or how's that working?
Yeah, I mean, it was quite a long time ago now, Coach, but I initially went to a Division III program, and I elevated that program from club to varsity. And through working for that university, I had, a lot of contacts that I made that get the next job in the water polo world. And I went back to Bucknell and helped open that pool that's behind Todd right there. And put in the bid for men's NCAAs and got the bid for that, to host them there in that pool.
Did you sink the bulkhead there too?
Yeah, I did also sink the bulkhead.
You're the one.
Wasn't that like the first year?
It was brand new. I didn't know how it worked.
Paige is famous.
That story is
True,
still
you have to go
told.
very slow.
We have to receive specific training to move it now because of you. So
Yeah, well, did you know that it can be lifted with a fire truck bladder?
I did not know that.
That's how you get it up.
I don't want to find out either, but thank you.
Yeah, I didn't last at Bucknell for very long after that. So then I went to Villanova.
Yeah.
And it was definitely because of the water polo connections that I had, and specifically the Bucknell connections that I had, that I got to all those positions.
Awesome. Speaking of the pool, what was it like playing a Frey's Rook? Paige, we'll start with you.
Intimate. Very
How
intimate.
so?
You're on top of everyone. The crowd is on top of you. They literally can touch you as you walk by, or almost touch you as you swim by. And it was shallow deep, so we had the shallow where you pretend like you weren't touching. But you were. But yeah, it was intimate.
Yeah. Deann, how about you?
There were no secrets in that pool. Everyone knew exactly what you had done the night before.
Dana?
I guess I was thankful for the break when we were in the shallow end. The break that we weren't supposed to have. But,
Did it give you a little bit of a chip on your shoulder when you went to the nice pools to play? Like, hey, we practice in a shallow deep. We play in a shallow deep. We can hang with you in the big pools, or?
I don't know if there was any chip on our shoulder. I think we were probably kind of humble, like
I was intimidated.
and jealous. Yeah, intimidated, jealous.
Hey, you know what though? Ours was not the worst.
No, it wasn't.
It wasn't the worst.
Who was the worst?
Am I allowed to say it on a recording?
You can say whatever you want. Yeah, man. Let it go.
In my memory, I don't even think this is their name anymore. Salem Tikio.
That's the one I was thinking of.
It was.
Yep.
It wasn't just a shallow deep. It had a liner, so like it wasn't tiled, and the liner, as I remember it, was not. It had a hole in it, and it had like a mud bottom, and so there was like silt leaking into the liner as you were in it, and it was like this murky green, like silty, can't see the bottom color.
Yeah, it was
Yeah.
never clean.
No.
Salem in West Virginia?
Yeah.
Are they Salem International now?
No, they switched to a new name, and then they use a pool in Morgantown now. They built
Oh,
a
really?
meter pool down there. So
They probably filled that one with mud.
Jay O'Neill coached there when we played against them when we were there.
yeah, Jay coaches at St. Francis in Loretta, Pennsylvania now. St. Francis.
Yep.
Yep.
Yeah. He's the referee that cost us our undefeated season when he reffed our men's game here. So I don't ever put him down. I'm not looking for that. So.
We used to have great chants in the Freeze Rook pool, and one of them,
Yes. Speaking of Jay O'Neill.
speaking of Jay O'Neill, was we would like hold up a pair of socks and we would yell, "Whose socks are these?" And the response
Jay
was,
O'Neill sucks.
"Socks."
Well, I'm gonna get on the phone with him right after this and let him know, because he never told me that story. So
Now, I will say about that pool, when you were chanting and yelling, it echoed. Like it had a lot more oomph to it.
Yeah.
hard time hearing the referees.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I bet. It's still, the part of the pool is still there. It's underneath the weight room. You can still go down and see all the lanes. They left all the lane markers in and
Really?
for it. Yeah. So
Well, that needs to
someday
be
when
part of the 25th anniversary tour.
there you go. We'll get it done. So my last question is, what advice would you give me as the current coach of the program? And it can be anything. Go ahead, Paige. Give me some advice.
I think
For
you
a
do
coach.
a good job, but just from someone who's coached to another coach, I think it's really important to let athletes be people and not just athletes.
Mm-hmm. Okay. I can do it from an alumni perspective. Better. Paige?
Sorry, what was that?
Anything I can do from an alumni, keeping you guys in touch or doing things to make you feel like you're still big part of the program? Better.
No, I love the emails, the recap emails that you send out. I read them all. If I knew more in advance, or if I checked the schedule more often, or if there was an alumni event, I would probably come out more often for them. I just don't, it's not something I think about all the time. So if it was like an invite, where you're saying that there's specifically going to be a get together, I would come out more often.
Okay. Deann, how about you?
Looking at my notes, since apparently I made them. I think that for any team sport, no matter what it is, I think it hinges so much on momentum, and so much of momentum has to do with team chemistry, that I think it's important to always check in with your team and see how they're doing both in and out of the pool and make sure they're functional, because I feel like when things get a little dysfunctional out of the pool, sometimes it shows up in the pool as well. That would probably be the biggest piece of advice I have in general. And also keep up the great work with your recruiting. You're doing awesome.
Awesome. Thank you.
Got some great players.
Yeah, we do. We recruit people first. So if they're not going to, the women do the recruiting actually. So we bring them on campus. They could be the greatest player in the world, but if the women don't like her, then she's not coming. So really leave it up to them. it's their culture. It's how they develop the team and how they. So if they tell me they don't like somebody, no matter how much I like them, then they're not coming. So we try and do that. Occasionally, I will say no. We're gonna find a way to like this person. That doesn't happen very often. So.
She's a rock star. Suck it up.
Yeah. So let the culture take care of her. So how about Anna?
I don't feel like I'm in any position to tell you how to do your job. I feel like you're doing an awesome job, and just keep doing what you're doing. Sadly,
Awesome.
sorry, I don't have any better advice than that, but
Well, no, I mean, I always feel like I want to do more from, alumni perspective. And, I try and do the weekly emails are more of a cathartic thing. It's great to keep you guys engaged on what's going on. It's good on a Monday for me to vent all my frustration onto a piece of paper. And
I too enjoy those emails. And Paige and I and Adrian and Meredith had an amazing time at that reunion a couple of years ago. I still enjoy looking back at those pictures. So yeah, like Paige said, it's fun to get together with the team too and have reunion kind of things. If that's ever in the cards again, I think
2024, right, John?
2024 is the big one. So
okay.
Tell your kids and you'll be gone for that weekend. So, but we're gonna blow it out. So it's gonna be the women. It's gonna be great. And we've been looking for, I think it was actually Paige at the 40th one where you said we need to have the 25th one. I think it was you, and I never forgot it. So, so we're definitely gonna make it happen. So, but if anything I can do in the meantime from now till then, an open invite to our invites. You guys are always welcome, but maybe I should make it more of a event moving forward over the next couple of years, depending on what COVID allows us to do. But
Right.
I'll definitely do that if you guys are gonna promise you're gonna come back. So
It's hardest for Paige.
Is it?
Wow. Just for this call, I mean.
Yeah. All right. Well, no, I appreciate it, and I'm going to turn it over to Todd. And it's great seeing you guys, and we'll stay in touch. Hopefully, I'll send some emails out soon, and we can actually do a Zoom tailgate or something together with everybody and have some more laughs. So, but I appreciate it. Thank you.
Very good.
Awesome.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Coach. So I want first, before I sign off, I want to turn my attention to Larissa. And Larissa, going to wish you the best of luck with the rest of your training. And we're keeping our fingers crossed that spring you have a competitive season. I know last year was tough. You guys were out to a 15-4 start, and then COVID struck and the season got cut short. So we're hoping that you have a good season and have a season this year. And I know all the alums will be cheering you on and your teammates as well. And then to the alums, thank you so much for doing this. John was right when he said that you should never forget how much you all mean to the program and what you did, how much it meant to the program. The Bucknell Polo family is a real special one among our 27 varsity sports here. And it's easy to see when we do these Zoom calls how much participation meant to the former players. It really has come shining through. And I thank you three ladies for what you did to start the program at the varsity level and get it going to where it is now today, one of the most respected around. And Coach McBride does a great job with the program. So thank you so much. And thank you for all that you continue to do for the athletes in the program today, because without our alumni support, the athletes wouldn't have the experiences that they do have. So thank you for that. And then for those of you that tuned in at home to watch tonight, thank you for doing so. And go Bison.
Go Bison.